Hey! We got another carpool conversation.
Yes.
Listen, I've always heard that you have to dress for the part that you want and not for where you are right now. So yeah. I am dressed for it. Do you see this?
Oh.
Super Mario Kart. Because you know what today's conversation is going to be about?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about gaming.
Oh, snap.
And I'm such an expert on gaming. Okay, I can't even pull that off.
No,
I know nothing about gaming, but I want to know about it, so I am dressing for the part.
Me too. I have flower power.
Love it. Love it.
Pew, 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 pew.
All right, we're going to need some explanation on this. But we think, guys, that this is an important enough conversation that we need to have a carpool conversation about it. So we have invited the one, the only, Tyler Ballentine!
Everyone welcome Tyler!
Tyler Ballentine.
All right, so here's the deal.
Hey, are you buckled up? All right,
yeah,
Tyler,
I'm buckled up.
We do buckle up. Wait, safety first.
It's freezing outside,
so cold.
I want to go get some Starbucks.
Sounds great.
My treat.
Did you hear that?
I'll pay.
Timmy is treating.
I'll even pay for Tyler. But Tyler, as we're driving, let's start with who are you? What do you do at North Hills?
Why are you in this car?
Yeah, why are you in the car?
I was kidnapped as a small child and I've never been able to get away from my captors. No, so I am the technical director at North Hills. I am in charge of all the audio, video, and a little bit of the IT stuff. So if you hear it or see it, I'm mostly involved in it, and just general maintenance of all of our equipment.
Okay, but the more important question is, if you had to describe yourself using one character, what character would best sum up who Tyler Ballentine is?
That's a great question.
And bonus points if it's a video character.
Yeah.
From a video game.
No, it's got to be a video game character.
All right,
I'm going to cheat a little bit here.
No one's cheating. We don't cheat on carpool conversations.
Game Sharks sort of thing. I'm going to say...
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
That's an old piece of tech. But, I'm going to say maybe WreckIt Ralph.
Oh, I do know what WreckIt Ralph is. Okay.
What's a WreckIt Ralph?
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a character from a Disney movie. He's a video game villain.
Oh, I do know WreckIt Ralph.
No, he's actually not the villain.
He's the villain in the game, and he turns into the hero.
But he turned into the hero, and we love WreckIt Ralph.
Corinne, who would you be?
This is going to be the greatest conversation.
Who would you be?
I don't know. Miss Pac-Man?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. That's the only one I know.
Because you're wearing yellow.
Because I'm wearing yellow.
Yeah, I would be a Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh, is that a video game?
It was. It is.
See? There you go.
Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, Raphael. I would be Michelangelo because he's a party dude.
Okay, so video games.
Video games.
Oh, all right, you guys know, I've already said it once, I know nothing about video games. In fact, I didn't even think I was a gamer until this morning of all things, because I do play some things on my handheld device, but I would not have considered that gaming. So, okay, Tyler, I'm sure there's a very, very small amount of people out there that don't understand the idea or the world of gaming. Can you give just a super brief overview of what that looks like? And I'm going to turn the heat down because it's so hot in here now. It's freezing outside, but hot in here.
So video games in general are just any kind of electronic game that you would play on your phone or a game console specifically designed for a video game, or PC or Mac if you can get a game running on a Mac. Anything that's an arcade cabinet. If you've designed an electronic computer to play a game, it's a video game.
Okay. All right.
Are you a PC or Mac guy?
Both. PC for gaming, Mac for my work.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So I was staggered at the statistic of how many people actually play video games.
Oh.
And it was an old statistic that I read. I think it was from 2019, and I think they said 73% of people ages 2 and older.
2?
Yes, 2 and older participate in video games.
Yeah.
But would you know anything different than that?
No,
what do 2-year-olds play?
Something on the iPad that their parents give them.
Oh, that's a good point.
While
you're at the dinner.
So it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, it's
billion with a B?
Billion with a B. It's bigger than the movie industry. It's bigger than the music industry. It is consistently bigger than both of those. And it just keeps growing year after year after year.
And I imagine with
over and over.
COVID, it's probably gotten even bigger.
Yeah, so if just some weird, like, not solid statistics, but off the top of my head, like, I know Nintendo had sold, like, they had a record year in Switch sales for their handheld device, handheld console hybrid device. I know that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X both came out last year, and they both sold a lot. They were always sold out.
Yeah. Now, Switch is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because Switch, I remember as a kid, right? Like, when you had to turn your gaming console off, it was, like, because your parents had to leave, it was terrible.
Right.
You couldn't save your game, but a Switch can go from, like, the television into your hands, like, into the car, like, that your mom's driving, right? And then it can go back from the handheld to the television.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about, tell me about a little bit about your gaming experience. Like, what got you into gaming? And obviously we know why we brought you in here for Carpool Conversations, but we want them to understand your expertise with gaming.
You're also the only geek I know.
Wait, what's the difference between a geek and a nerd?
In my definition, everyone's a nerd because everybody's nerdy about something, whether it's games, sports, comics, or whatever. And a geek is more like science and math and like
like the Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
I hate that show so much.
Sorry, no disrespect to everybody that
No,
likes.
it's a lot of disrespect for anybody who loves that show.
Wow. Okay.
So
all
shots
right, there
fired.
you go. Okay. All right. So we know why we brought you here. Why you tell the students why you're an expert in this area.
I've been playing video games for about 23 years. I started when I was about 7 years old. Maybe a little bit before that. My mom showed me Pac-Man on the original arcade cabinet. And it was
Shout out to Pac-Man.
It was the tabletop version, not even the stand-up version.
Old school.
Where you had 2 players. And then my first consoles were a Game Boy Pocket with Pokemon, Donkey Kong, and I think Frogger.
Donkey Kong.
And
Frogger.
I had, and then an N64 with Banjo-Kazooie, Yoshi's Story, and Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
And I've been playing
Shout out to Mario Kart.
basically since then. Around 13 years old, I decided that video games were going to be my main hobby. Like, when I was younger, I played basketball and, like, skateboarded and biked. And, like, I did a plethora of different things as you do as a kid and you're trying to figure out what you're into.
Yeah.
But, like, around 13, I kind of decided this is what I like, this is what I love. I read the magazines, I watch the videos, I play the games. Like, I consistently, it was something I talked about all the time. And since then, I think if I had to make a guesstimate, I've played somewhere around 300 plus games. I own probably more than that.
Wow.
I've got like 13 different consoles at home. I've got a Steam library that's like 150 games or so.
A what library?
Steam library. So on PC or Mac, whichever one you're playing on, you have Steam as a platform that you can go on and buy games and play games with other people.
Oh, so you don't have to like go to the store and buy it. You can
download it from on your computer. I consistently play video games pretty much every day. Like
Every day.
Every day. I'm at least playing about an hour of video games.
What are you playing right now?
Yes.
So last night I just finished Ghost of Tsushima, which is on the PS4. I platinumed it and beat it 100%, and then I started Super Mario Brothers, or Super Mario 3D Land, or 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I started the Bowser Fury part on Switch.
Wow.
It's like he's talking a different language. Ghost of Shashira?
It's like you're talking to your parents.
Ghost of Shakira?
It's very much like I'm talking
Can we play a
about
Shakira song, please? Hips don't line her. Shakira.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, if anybody out there is curious as
say
to what
this.
this feels like in this conversation, it's like trying to explain to your parents how to use a computer when they don't know how to do it.
There's so much truth in that.
You said Ghosts of Shakira.
No, he did not. He said
Ghost of Tsushima.
Sushima.
Oh,
Like,
Tsushima.
like,
Or,
it's like sushi.
It's
He's
like Tsushima. Tsushima is the way yeah.
He said sushi.
Ooh.
It's not spelled that way, but yes.
Ghosts of Tsushima. Now, what console is that played on?
PS4.
PS4.
Okay.
Now, what's the deal with like PS4 versus the Xbox? What is the superior console?
Drum roll, please.
So right now, I would say the superior console is the PlayStation because of the games it has, but Xbox and Microsoft is doing this thing called Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, which is like $15 a month, and you get to have online and a bunch of games that are just free to download as long as you have the service, and it's like Netflix for games almost.
Okay, like Movie Pass.
Kind of, and that whole subscription service has so impressed me I have all the consoles. Like I have both, an Xbox and a PlayStation.
Where do you keep them all?
Seriously.
In my house.
Well, of course in your house. But like do you just have
House.
like a massive table full of consoles? How do you plug them all in?
So I have, we've got 2 rooms in the house that have games in them. One is the game room, the playroom that me and my wife have.
Because she plays too,
Is
right?
your wife a
Yes,
gamer?
my wife plays too. She's a really big fan of like Paper Mario, Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
That was the biggest game of last year.
Oh.
And Super Mario Brothers is a really big one for her.
I love Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, so
I have Super Mario Kart on. Sorry.
Flower power.
we play a lot of games together. Or if we're not playing together, we're playing separately, but like together, like in the same room.
Marriage goals.
Because it's a community as well. Like
Yeah.
you don't just, it's not just, you don't play it you can play it in isolation, but you do play it with other people.
Oh yeah, do you play with other people?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of friends. I've got one friend up in North Carolina that I pretty much consistently play with. He and his fiance. I've got a couple of friends around town that I play with. We're actually talking about playing the multiplayer of Ghost of Tsushima probably either tonight or tomorrow. Tons of Mario Kart, we were playing Halo for a while.
I love Halo.
There you go. There you go.
Overwatch for a long time. I'm trying to think of any other games.
What's your gamer tag?
Bowser Freak 13.
Bowser Freak 13 if you want to play with Tyler.
I came up with that name when I was 13, so, and I just haven't changed it
You
since.
haven't changed it.
No.
Oh, it's okay.
Hey, if it
All right,
ain't
that's
broke,
actually,
don't fix
I
it.
actually really love that because, so you must have really loved Bowser then.
Yeah, so I still pretty consistently do. I like Bowser's like one of my favorite characters. I've got a couple of t-shirts and a couple of figures and posters at home.
Okay.
And just, I was like, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And
So what about Bowser draws you to him?
I like bad guys. I mean, and he's like a little bit of Godzilla. He's a little bit of,
got all the spikes on his shell.
Right.
Okay,
He's
all right.
really cool.
Kind of, see, to me, it looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, kind of. With the shell.
Like Bebop or Rocksteady.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm talking about what I don't know. Okay, all right. So with such a huge influential industry, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because obviously it's a part of our lives and it's part of our students' lives. And I'm sure there's good parts and bad parts to it. So what do you think is, obviously, what is good about it? Like, what do you think is beneficial for playing games?
So I think gaming is a window into the larger world of art in general. So because a movie is a good example of that. It incorporates audio, it incorporates acting, it incorporates set design, it incorporates scripting and writing.
Now you're talking my language.
All these different kind of
there are
disciplines.
themes. Or not a theme, but there's like a storyline in video games.
Right, but even in the creation of video games or in the appreciation of video games, you have to appreciate the people who animated the game, the people who designed the game, the people who built the game, the people who did the sound and the mocap and the voice acting. Like mocap is when you put on the suit with little like tennis balls or little ping pong balls, and you act and it records your movement for animation to be cleaned up later. Cool. So just the appreciation of all art, there's this kind of gateway, it's like a gateway drug, if I could use that term, to say, oh, I really like the music in this game, I'm gonna go find that composer and like figure out what they do. I really like the animation or the coloring in this game, I can go find out who did this animation or who did this design.
Do you do that with games?
One of my favorite composers is Grant Kirkhope. He did the music for Banjo-Kazooie back on the N64.
Dude, Banjo-Kazooie?
I love Banjo-Kazooie.
Wow.
I played that as a kid.
Banjo-Kazooie?
It was like that weird looking kangaroo type animal.
It's a bear and a bird. But,
You totally didn't play that at all, did you?
no, I can see him in my head.
I don't know.
I just don't know what a kazooie is.
Okay, so it helps us understand the greater area of art, which I think is wonderful.
yeah, and another piece of it is that like it incorporates kind of like your brain while you're playing. It's not this kind of like, oh, I'm gonna turn myself completely off from everything. You do focus on the game, but a lot of it is, imagine you're playing like a Zelda game. There's tons of puzzles in that game, and you have to have kind of like critical logic and critical thinking skills to get past certain pieces of the game. Especially if you're playing a single player game.
Yeah.
If you're playing a multiplayer game like Fortnite or Halo or Overwatch, you're thinking strategy. You're thinking like, how do I and my teammates kind of do the best we can? Like, what's our best strategy to win against the other team? So it incorporates a lot of like teamwork and strategizing and like, again, that logic piece of it.
And I would think if you're playing with people on your little headset, you have to become a good communicator.
Yeah, especially if you're playing with friends. If you're playing with strangers, it occasionally devolves into just shouting at each other. But yes.
Whenever I play online, these 11-year-olds can talk some smack. And it hurt my feelings. And I don't appreciate it. at all.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of good that can come of gaming, and I can't believe I just said that. But
There is.
But there's a lot of good that can come from that. But also, I think with all that, there can be a danger to it. What pitfalls can occur with gaming?
So I think, for me at least, in my experience, especially when I was younger, the pitfall was going overboard with gaming, whether it would be spending way too much time and ignoring a lot of my responsibilities, or not scheduling out the time that I needed to play. So like now, in my life, I try to make sure that, like, you know, and this is like, because I'm married and I have to have a household and like make sure everything runs smoothly. It's
and actually, you know, go to work.
Wait,
right. I have to go to work and make money. Yes, I have to do. I have
Responsibility.
responsibilities, which sucks sometimes. But you know, I have to kind of like, I have to chisel out the time for gaming. So like when I go home, if there's something to do, I need to make sure either that gets done first, or that I have made sure that I've scheduled it so that I can get it done later.
So teenage Tyler wrestled with that.
Yeah, teenage Tyler wrestled with that.
I wish I would have known teenage.
College Tyler would go into his friend's dorm and play League of Legends for like 8 hours a night, and it would be like 3 o'clock in the morning.
There's only 8 hours in the night.
Seriously?
Yeah. So that we would be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be like, hey, we need to study for our Spanish test or Spanish quiz that's coming up. And my buddy of mine, Dan, he would put his hand on my shoulder and he'd be like, Tyler, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna play League until 6 o'clock for another 3 hours, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna sleep for an hour. We're gonna go to the cafeteria at 8, and then we're gonna go study while we're eating, and then we're gonna go take the test, and we're gonna skip all our classes, and then we'll go back to sleep in the afternoon. And we consistently
what a great
do
friend.
stuff like that.
Wait, how did you make it through college then?
Hola.
Yeah, very skillfully.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
but that's a really dangerous thing to a habit.
yeah,
to fall
sure,
into.
it can be. So that's what I'm saying, is that like it's one of those things where, thankfully, like when I was younger, there weren't a lot of opportunities. A small thing would be like pausing video games.
Okay.
Like a video game would let you pause during certain sections, but not other sections. Save files were not automatic. It was, you know, I had to get to the save point and make sure that I got my my game saved so I didn't lose any progress. And nowadays, I'm so thankful that like games now will let you pause in the middle of like cutscenes. They'll let you pause in the middle of gameplay. As long as you're not playing a multiplayer game with other people,
right,
most of the time you can kind of pause it, set it down, go do what you need to do, and come back and pick it back up from exactly where you left off.
So that you can manage your time well and
yes,
accomplish all the other things that you should and need
right,
to do, but
right,
still can enjoy gaming.
Yes, but like, and I think that's the one thing that multiplayer gaming is it is a time sink, and is a worthwhile time sink, I believe, because, you know, it's my hobby. It's one of those things where like you get stuck in that like one more match, and especially in for me, it's I've lost the last 7 matches. I need to win one before I go to bed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Loss.
So it's
but you can.
It's one of those things where it's like sometimes I need to let it go and walk away just because of its time.
So what kind of parameters would you recommend putting on yourself to help you, you know, overcome that? Like, instead of just one more and losing out on sleep, because the average human needs to get their sleep.
I mean, my big thing is that, like, especially when you're young, stay up late. Like, stay up late and get less sleep at times. Like that, there's no reason to not do that occasionally, or, you know, you can handle it.
Yeah.
But
within reason, if your parents allow you to do that.
Right. So I think the big thing is just making sure that you're taking care of you and the people around you. So self-care of like, so say you're on a multiplayer game and you're losing, especially for me, if
play another game.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that like it's negatively impacting me, because I can get very competitive. I can get very like wrapped up in not necessarily my worth, but like my skill level in playing the game. Okay. And so it can make me get in a bad mood or like just feel bad. So self-care of just making sure that you know that when it's time to
So
stop.
if you come into the office and you're grumpy, can I just assume you've been losing at video games?
No, it depends on what time I come into the office. So self-care is a big thing. Just making sure that like you're mentally you're refreshed and you can come back to the game and have fun with it. Because playing a game is all about having fun. It's not about, you know, dominating. It can be during competitive seasons, but like it's like, you play games to have fun. You
Sure.
don't play games for any other reason. So as
Right,
long as
that's
you're
what
having
it should
fun,
be.
that's what you should do. And then making sure that not only you take care of yourself, but those around you. So like if you've got, you know, family, mom, dad, brother, sister, fiance, wife, whatever it is that you have a relationship with, if you're not taking care of them because you're playing a video game, that's bad. That's
your responsibility.
Right, or your responsibility. That's
Absolutely.
what I mean by that. So like so say you're living at home, and you know, my mom used to always tell me to take out the trash, right? If I didn't take out the trash, that negatively impacted not only my mom, but it impacted me, it impacted my brother, my two sisters, my dad,
with your mom.
and my relationship with my mom. So like, I have to take care of both me and my family, and my friends too, the people around me, before I kind of like tackle more of what I'm doing in like an entertainment aspect, or like something that I'm doing for fun. So as long as you're taking care of yourself and those around you, I feel like gaming has this potential to be this super positive impact in your life while you play it. But you've got to make those parameters of, you know, that checklist of, have I taken care of myself? Have I taken care of others? And then once you've kind of done that, go.
Was there ever a time when you didn't
I remember
follow
like,
that rule and
sure,
and compare that and contrast that with, you know, the parameters you put on yourself for right now?
Right. So when obviously when I was younger, there were a lot of times when it was just one more level, it was just one more game, it was just one more match.
Right.
And going back to that example of like the Spanish test, I did not do as well on those tests if I had stopped playing League for a couple of hours, you know, and studied, even if I stayed up all night, studied all night, and then, you know, taking the test later. And while that never negatively impacted me in the long run, it did negatively impact me in the short run of, you know, if I like failed a test, I'd have to go make up, you know, if there was extra credit, I had to go do that, or I had to try really hard to make an A on the next one to make up for the grade that I didn't do there. So now it's much more it's easier for me, I think, now, because I've gone through those experiences of, you know, I've seen how it negatively impacts people. I've seen how it negatively impacts me. And I want, especially like my wife, who I live with,
to like you.
to like and love me, and to be taken cared for. I guess that's what I'd say is just that it can negatively impact you, whether it be your grades, whether it can be your sleep, whether it can be your mental health, whether it can be your relationships with your friends and family, whether it can be, you know, just not taking care of yourself physically, you know.
So sometimes when you're in these moments, it's hard to recognize that anything's negatively affecting you. How do you recognize that, and how do you overcome that? Like, was there anything that somebody said to you to help you realize, oh, wait a minute, these are the parameters that would help me to enjoy this, but do it responsibly, or you know, to take care of others? How would we recognize this?
A part of it, I'll just be honest and say that it's maturity. You know, as you get older, you just kind of, it seeps into you a little bit more than like when I was younger. It wasn't there. It was not at the forefront of my mind. As I get older, it moves to the forefront of my mind. But I feel like, again, going back to like the pause example, like it used to be, they couldn't do that. Now you can. Using those endpoints, those like, hey, I can pause, I can save, I can come back to this, or hey, I just finished a match, let me go do what I need to do first, and then I can come back and play again later. Using those endpoints and those stopping points to say, all right, I'm gonna get out for a second and then come back in. Those are the things where I feel like you should recognize those. So like, again, when you finish a match, saying, do I really need to start another one right now, or can I go finish my chores or my homework, or actually go to work, which you should do, and then come back and play more. Like, there's always going to be time for more, and there's always going to be time for like those free moments that you can go in and play a couple matches or do what you want with either strangers or your friends. So
because they make these games to be so addictive.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's a YouTube channel that I like to watch called Extra Credits. It's a little animated.
I was going to ask you that. Like, what are good YouTube channels or podcasts or something on gaming?
So Extra Credits is all about the positivity of gaming.
Nice.
It's a little animated video series where they get real people from the industry to come in and either write scripts or be interviewed occasionally, and they talk about how games can be used for good. And they actually have an episode about endpoints, about stopping points. And
speaking of stopping points,
hang on, we got to order.
It talks about the positivity of gaming, and where, like Tim says, the design of gaming can be negative, or can be designed to kind of suck you in. Like, I mean, as any entertainment business it is a business that tries to make money.
Sure.
So games want your attention. They want to draw you in. It's not necessarily their responsibility. It's their responsibility in a weird way to be kind of like good stewards of that power, but it's more your responsibility to be good, be aware of
that's
what
like anything.
business.
It doesn't matter if it's watching a movie.
Exactly, yeah.
Or they know how to market it.
Absolutely, they all do.
Yeah.
So it's more on us to kind of say
self-control.
It's a little bit of self-control. And being aware of the tactics that they use to pull you in, and when to say, okay, I'm not going to let that affect me now. I've got other things to go do.
What? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're recognizing, which areas you're sensitive toward and which areas you're not, because some people may be affected very much by one aspect and others not so much.
Yeah, so like, for example, loot boxes. It's a popular term for if you're playing a game and there is essentially a mystery box that you can either purchase with real currency or in-game currency that you earn as you play. And the loot boxes have
in-game currency.
Yeah.
So there's
cool.
cryptocurrency.
Well, so it's not necessarily tied to a real world currency. You couldn't like get points in Overwatch and trade them for real money. It's that you can buy with real money. You can buy the boxes from Overwatch,
So
but you
it's not
can't.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's not. You're not going to get any financial gain out of it.
Let's talk a little. I mean, I would love to hear about how, with talking to people online or as you've been gaming, how do those two bleed together?
Sure.
I like my food steaming hot too.
Really?
Yeah. Like pizza, if it's not like destroying the roof of my mouth, I don't like it.
It's being recorded.
All right, Tyler, Jesus
And
in
gaming.
gaming.
Do those things coexist?
They do.
They
have to.
coexist?
I have to, otherwise I'm in trouble.
Okay. All right. So explain to me, how do they coexist?
So like anything, if you have an interest, you can use it to the betterment of the gospel, because you relate to people who do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I liken it to, recently I was getting a little bit back into skateboarding, and there is a skate church that they have on
skate church in
Greenville? Yeah, in Greenville.
A skate church.
Over on East North Street.
Wait. Okay.
Shout out to the cool church in
Seriously,
Greenville.
The Board Riders Club of Greenville runs
We
a
need to
skate
get
church.
Peter Hubbard to go with us.
That would be-
Skate it up.
I've been there once, and I haven't had the chance to go back again, but it was fun. But the point is, all those people there, regardless of whether they were there for the church aspect or the skating aspect, they got both. You know what I mean? So like they were there for a common interest of skating, and they got to hear the gospel through their common interest of skating.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got friends or family members who are also into video games, you can use that as an opportunity to build relationships with others, and also like be that influence on their life from a Christian standpoint. And it doesn't have to be essentially like, I know for me it was really hard when I was younger to think of, it's my responsibility to every time I meet somebody who's not a Christian to be like, hey, have you heard about Jesus? And like to have this spiel in my head to where I'm like, I'm a salesman a little bit.
Right.
Instead of building
Wait, can you
relationships.
say that in the salesman voice?
No, I don't think. Do you know Jesus? He's Lord and Savior.
He'll save you from your sins, kids.
Students don't do that.
But like more so like as I got older, it was a lot of like, I need to build a relationship with this person so that I can speak into their life from a position of a friend, of a close confidant, and not as just some stranger on the street walking up to you and being like, hey, buy this thing. I mean, it's kind of like, buy this thing from me.
Right.
So just being able to have that kind of like that interest that you can share with somebody else who has it in common with you, it opens so many doors that you don't even think about.
That's awesome.
To speak into other people's lives in the same way that like sports or music or movies or music, I said music twice, can do the same thing. What you're interested in can lead to relationships with people who might not know the gospel, and it can open the doors to tell them about the gospel.
Wow. Have you had that experience at all?
I can't think of a specific instance where I like, there was that guy named John and I talked to him for a little while, but like, I know that it has been something that I can, at the very least when I'm playing with some friends of mine, who most of my friends are Christian, I can kind of talk about my life, and I can talk about like the things that I'm going through and the ways that Jesus and my faith impacted the way the things I'm going through.
While you're gaming,
right? While I'm playing games, so it's a positive.
And you can encourage others. Like if someone's having a bad day, you can be there to listen to them. And
And the other thing is that, short of the actual like sharing of the gospel, gaming itself has a history of being very toxic, especially in online communities. Whether it's you're on Reddit or whether you're on Twitter or whether you're actually playing a game over Xbox Live.
Yeah,
or
what is Twitch?
Oh, Twitch. We'll get to Twitch in just a second.
Okay.
But like gaming has this kind of like toxic mindset around it, where like Tim even said I think a minute ago about the 11-year-olds like trash talking.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes that can get
things.
yeah that can go too far. So being the positive influence in those communities to say, hey, those are not the ways that I behave. This is the way that I'm going to behave. I'm going to behave with
children.
Honor.
Keep it cool.
Well, it's more of like I'm going to behave with honor towards my opponents. I'm going to behave with honor and respect towards my my friends, and just being that positive influence.
Honor towards my opponents.
He's talking about.
I love it.
He's talking about very good things.
Yeah, I just love that. Honor your opponents. That sounds like a different type of version of like cool scripture, like the video game version of scripture. Honor thy opponent.
Wow.
You can show love.
I know what you meant,
can show
Tyler.
love to the people that you play with, regardless of whether you know them or you don't.
I love it.
You can let that shine
After
through.
you chop their head off, you're like,
no kidding. I'm serious. You shoot them in the head. You 360 no scope, and you just like, hey, love you, man.
You're like, yeah, I love you, bro.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. Maybe this is not the right question to ask, but is there ever a time when you can encourage those that have joined your group that this is not how we respond in this group?
Yeah. So I'll talk about, like, I've got a friend of mine who, I've got a couple of friends who are very hyper competitive, where like we'll be playing a competitive video game, and if they lose a few times, or if us as a team lose a few times, they really get like this very negative emotion that like washes over them. And a lot of times, like, I can use that as an excuse to say, hey, let's play something else. Let's go and play like a cooperative game instead of a competitive game. Like, let's move your, like, the focus of that attitude, or the focus of your
negative
mindset.
Energy, and make it positive.
Yeah, let's move into something else. So we can continue to play games, but we're moving into something that's not super hyper competitive. We can move into something that's more cooperative, and something that kind of reinforces that positive feedback instead of the negative feedback.
Well, I think that's scriptural. You're encouraging one another to life and godliness. You're spurring one another on to good works, and I mean that's scriptural. And I think that's a really great thing that you're recognizing that this is not beneficial to my friend. How can I help? He or she do better with them.
And we can come back to the game tomorrow when they've had a rest and
different mindset.
And I was just thinking, I bet you know how like people on social media are like, and they're behind their screen.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah. Gaming, I would think, could bring. Sorry, I thought I was going to get hit by a semi. Gaming, I would think, like when you're light in darkness, and I put quotation marks around that, but like you would think if someone's hiding behind a TV screen with their headset on, they could be a little ruder or more brash, where you can kind of be like, hey guys, like let's just keep it cool. Let's be kind to each other. Honor thy opponent.
So anonymity is kind of the dangerous piece of both social media and video games. So being anonymous and being hidden behind that screen, we don't view, like when I'm playing Super Smash Brothers, for instance, which is another video game I play a lot.
Smash!
It's Nintendo. Yeah,
is it Mario Kart?
Well, it's not Mario Kart. But
shout out to
Mario.
Yoshi. Yoshi's awesome.
That was my dog's name was Yoshi.
Oh.
Thank you for bringing that.
R.I.P.
Thank you for opening that wound.
Sorry.
So when I'm playing Smash Brothers, if I'm playing with friends who are on my couch or on their couch, and I can see them, I can physically interact with them in some way, I have empathy and sympathy for them because they're in the room with me. I have that kind of that connection with them. When I'm playing online, and it's
Why do you keep laughing when he says
it's so true.
honor and empathy?
I'm with you.
You're laughing at
No,
these
this is
amazing
new. This is new
characteristics.
bandwidth for me, and showing kindness because I don't play video games, and so I've never had empathy towards someone in a video game.
Oh, but I think it's
It's awesome.
Well,
fantastic.
so when you're physically in a room, you have more of an ability to show that empathy and sympathy. When it's a faceless person that you cannot speak to or see, a lot of times even I get into the mindset of like, this person is evil and they're out to get me. Like that everything that they do is disrespectful. Everything that they do is trying to get me to be more angry. And a lot of times it's not that. They're just playing the game and I'm reading between invisible lines that aren't there. And I can get kind of hateful in my mindset towards the people I'm playing against. So just being aware of that and just kind of going into that kind of mindset, it can be helpful to be aware of that.
What was the platform you asked him about?
Twitch.
Twitch.
Oh, yeah, Twitch.
Okay, talk to us about Twitch.
So Twitch
before
is
we finish.
So
What is
Twitch
a
is a
Twitch?
platform where you can live stream yourself playing video games. You can do more than just play video games on Twitch, but for the most part, it's designed as a platform to stream yourself playing video games.
Okay.
And you build a community around either your streaming of a game and people coming to watch you, or you go to watch other people and join their communities to watch them do stuff. So like I watch.
So I can watch you play your video game
if I'm streaming, yes.
Oh.
And it's a huge culture around.
Do you do that?
I do not stream.
Isaac Hewitt does.
I think I tried it once or twice.
In
Yeah,
our youth
Isaac
group.
does do it.
Nice.
Isaac
Okay.
Hewitt.
All right.
Yep. I've watched him a few times on Twitch.
But I do watch people on Twitch a good bit, especially when I'm bored and I don't want to do anything. I'll just do that.
So you said, so
So-
you don't stream. All right.
So I've tried it before. I don't really have the equipment to do it well.
Okay.
I need a better computer, essentially,
Okay.
to do it well. But anybody, it's very available to people who can. Even with dumbed down equipment like what I have, I could technically stream, but it just wouldn't be the quality that I would want. But people do this, and it's kind of like watching somebody play sports. You're not necessarily playing the sport yourself, but you're enjoying somebody kind of doing the activity.
Yeah. No, I love watching video games.
Oh, fun.
Because I grew up where my brother never shared. No, I'm for real.
You
So
didn't is that why you never played, Timmy? Because your brother.
no, but I would watch Matt,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, go around that corner right there. Like I was like his wingman. I would try
Right.
and help him, but if he wanted me to play, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So that's why like my kids love watching gamers on YouTube,
Oh, fun.
but they would rather watch than play, which is kind of weird. But I get it.
But I mean, that's a really great analogy. It's like watching some sort of sport event or something.
Yeah,
like
you might
sporting
not go
event.
out and play football a ton, but
Right.
you love to watch.
Wow,
I don't
that's
know.
a good point.
I love to watch the Patriots.
I was about to say, Peter's a fan of the Patriots.
And so is Corinne.
Tom Brady.
I have no stake in the game
All
whatsoever.
right. He's
Sorry.
with the Bucks
I
now.
know.
But hey, we're proud of him for winning the Super Bowl. So yeah, shout out to Tom Brady. He's
All
a
right, so Tyler, if you were to just impart some wisdom onto the gamers that are listening, that you wish someone would have shared with you when you were in high school or middle school, what would that be?
That gaming is not your entire identity. And I say that
That's good.
I say that from the perspective of like, I know that my identity is in Christ, but Christ made me to have an identity in both like my interests and in my skills and my talents, in my giftings. And that like my interests and my skills and my giftings, they're not all centered around video games. They're centered around, related fields.
Right.
But I also have a huge love of music. I love movies. I love books. I love entertainment in general, like stories. I love technology and using it for my work. It can be this kind of like keystone of your interest to lead out into this massive web of all these other things that you can enjoy, enjoy the world. And it doesn't have to be a singular thing. It can be multiple different things, and it can be like, again, that gateway drug, sort of speak, to get into other things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love it.
Tyler, we love you so much.
Yeah, we're so grateful to have you on this carpool conversation.
I stand by that you are the greatest hire North Hills has ever had, because I don't know anything about technology and you do. And what's really great, you wouldn't think, like, if you work for a church, people stereotypically think pastor. They don't think that you can work for a church in the world of tech.
Oh yeah, I am not pastoral in any way, shape, or form.
Unless you're showing empathy to honoring thy opponent.
Right.
No, but I think that's so great that you work for the bride of Christ and you serve God's people through means of tech. Like, that's really cool. Like, I hope people are listening to this and they go, wow, I didn't know you could work for a church in the world of tech. I remember when my youth pastor was like, hey, I'm a youth pastor. This is how I support my family.
Right.
And I remember thinking, man, if drums never work out, I want to be a youth pastor. And I hope people are listening going, that is a career path. Like, you can honor God through tech and you can work for the church. And
well, it's
awesome.
also a way that we can incorporate the habits for our youth group.
It's good.
Yeah, because you guys could actually work with Tyler right now.
Serve with Tyler.
But you could with the tech team on a regular basis, on a weekly basis if
Tyler,
you wanted
talk
to.
about that. How can they get involved?
So we've got opportunities specifically in Alive if you want to work there.
With Keaton.
Keaton Hubbard is our tech guy for Alive.
Shout out to Keaton.
He is my right-hand man, and
He's amazing.
He's so good. So if you see Keaton around, probably back in where Alive is doing tech, talk to him about serving. You can serve on the soundboard, you can serve with lyrics, and if you've got, so my big thing is transportation, because there's a lot of stuff that we need for volunteers, but if you can get here, we always need people to run lyrics, to run sound, to run Logic for the live stream audio.
What
and
is
to
Logic?
Run
Lights?
Video. Logic is just a program that we use to put our audio, like mix our audio for the live stream.
So
Lights is just
for those that are
incorporated for
watching it
sound.
at home during the pandemic.
Yeah, for those, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we
Ooh,
have 4
Can I
positions.
tell you what a great way to serve people is? Like, when we go live, sometimes people will comment like, "Hi, I'm from Rhode Island," or
yeah.
and you can comment back like, "Hi, welcome. We're so glad you're with us."
Yep.
Like that can go a real long way
Mm-hmm.
for some people, and that's a ministry platform.
Absolutely.
I love it. I want to do that.
Well,
I want to be the guy that comments like, "We're so glad you are virtually
God.
worshiping with us."
but you're connecting people that are feeling isolated during this pandemic. And so you've been a vital part of that.
I've really enjoyed doing that. It was stressful at the beginning.
Dude,
to,
if
like,
it
set
wasn't
up,
for
but-
Tyler,
Listen.
we would have been in so much trouble
we
with
would
the
have
pandemic.
been, oh my goodness, so much. I mean, because of Tyler, we're able to get everything out on a weekly basis still, to encourage God's people, to hear the message of Christ, to hear...
Go, nerds and geeks!
Oh my gosh.
You can do it!
Tyler, you're awesome, and we're really grateful that you came on this Carpool conversation with us.
The last thing I'll say is that if you want to talk about video games, just find me. I look scary, but I'm kind of nice
Yeah,
sometimes.
he's a little scary.
It's a sweet little teddy bear.
Right.
Drinking
It
his
is.
tea.
But if you like talking about video games, it's something that most of the time you can't get me to shut up about if you get me going. So
Or when you see Tyler, go to the sound booth in the back of the auditorium and yell at him to turn the music down.
don't do that. Please don't do that.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Do it. All right, we love you guys.
Yes, bye guys.
Hope you have a great week. And we're here for you if you need anything. Tyler is here for you.
Tyler, one more time, how do they look you up if they want to talk to you about video games?
Bowser Freak 13.
Well, they can email me on our work email, tylerb, as in boy, at northhillschurch.com. Or if you want to add me and talk to me and play games with me, Bowser Freak 13 on pretty much any, like Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch,
Yeah.
whatever.
Bowser Freak 13.
Will you
people.
please change that name to Teenage Tyler?
I will not.
Teenage Tyler 13.
No, I will not.
All right. Bye, guys.